So what is this sulcus I am drawing?
Lateral.
That's the lateral sulcus. And what is this sulcus I am drawing?
Central.
That is the central sulcus. And what is this notch here? This is the pre-occipital notch. And then we saw that the parieto-occipital sulcus was extending little to the superolateral surface. So we draw this imaginary line, and behind this you see this is the occipital. In front this is the frontal. This imaginary line extending behind, this is the parietal, and below this is the temporal.
Cutie.
Interest in neuroanatomy. Alright, so let's see some important gyri and sulci on the superolateral surface of the cerebral hemisphere. Placed in front of the central sulcus in the frontal lobe, we have this precentral sulcus and two sulci. This is the precentral sulcus. Then we have the superior and the inferior frontal sulci, thereby dividing these gyri into superior, middle and the inferior frontal gyrus. This area, this is the precentral gyrus, is also known as the primary motor area. This is the primary motor area, right? And this area is the motor association area. Okay. Now here you see this is the, which portion of the lateral sulcus this is?
Posterior.
This is the posterior ramus, and I told you the lateral sulcus also has two more. One is the anterior and other is the ascending. So this is the anterior ramus and this is the ascending ramus. Now the area between the anterior and the frontal lobe, this gyrus is known as pars orbitalis. Alright, this is known as the pars orbitalis. The area between the anterior and the ascending is known as pars triangularis, and the area between the ascending and the posterior ramus is known as pars opercularis. Alright, this is known as the pars opercularis. What is the importance of pars triangularis and pars opercularis? What do we have there? We have the Broca's speech area, that is area 44 and area 45. What is Broca's motor speech area? Now, what is the significance of Broca's motor speech area? Expression of language. What is that? Broca's or what? Speech. This is the main area for speech, for helping to speech. Now, is this area dominant in both?
No.
What happens in right-handed individuals?
It's on the left side.
It's on the left side, and in the left-handed individuals, it's on the right side. So, what will happen? Now, why should you know this? If it was a right-handed individual and he had his left Broca's motor area damaged, only then his speech will be gone. But instead, if the right-sided hemisphere was damaged, he won't have any problems with his speech. Alright, so that's the significance of this.
So what do you have instead?
he won't have any problems with it. He can speak normally. He might have other problems, but he can speak normally.
What if they're ambidextrous?
If they're ambidextrous, it's even better. It will be both sides. So even better for him.
Oh, it will be present on both sides?
Both sides, so it will be better.
So, like an injury to one side
Wouldn't affect him at all. Alright? Pardon?
Your right
We
hand.
don't know that. We don't know. This is how it is. So, this is the Broca's motor speech area. Now coming to the parietal lobes. What are the gyri and sulci in the parietal lobes? Behind the central sulcus you have a post central sulcus. And this gyrus between the central sulcus and the post central sulcus is known as the post central gyrus, which is the primary sensory area. Alright, and behind this post central sulcus we have this intraparietal sulcus. Intraparietal sulcus, which divides the parietal lobe into superior and the inferior parietal lobule. Now, coming to the temporal lobe, we have the superior and the inferior temporal sulci. Similarly, we have superior, middle and the inferior temporal gyri. Now this superior and the inferior temporal sulci project like this, so that some amount of this gyrus invades this inferior parietal lobule. Alright, so this area here between the superior temporal sulcus here, this is known as the supramarginal gyrus. Part of the superior temporal gyrus which invades the inferior parietal lobule is known as the supramarginal gyrus. This area here, right? That's coming to that. You can see this. This is the inferior temporal sulcus. The area of the middle temporal gyrus here, which is invading here angularly like this. This forms the angular gyrus. So these two areas which invade the inferior parietal lobule, the superior one is known as the supramarginal gyrus and the inferior one is known as the angular gyrus. Okay.
The angular one is the one from the
Middle one, which is the angle between the two. That's why this is the angular gyrus. What is the significance here of the superior temporal gyrus and these two areas here? What is the what lies in the superior temporal gyrus here?
receptive language.
You have the Wernicke's area. Wernicke's.
You said Winchester, so
Where is it? What is Wernicke's area?
he said the receptive language area consisted of those two. Plus Winnicke's area.
That's Wernicke's area. It is receptive area for receptive and perception of language and writing. Language and written skills. This comprises the Wernicke's area. Okay, the ability to understand language and the ability to write and perceive the written thing, that is controlled by these areas. Okay.
By the entire thing? Oh, okay.
Okay, and this part of the superior temporal gyrus. This whole thing is the Wernicke's area, and this is the Broca's motor speech area. Okay.